Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge Puff. Ich war von der Chäos Noah und Senna hat ja gerade dieses eine Gerät da zerschlagen mit ihrem D-Sword. Aber ich glaube, damit wäre bei Senna, ja, damit müssten wir wieder wahrscheinlich entweder bei Taco sein oder jemand anderen. As fall moved forward, it had gradually been getting colder outside. The fact that I had been able to go out in a short sleeve shirt only a few days ago felt unreal. The color of the sky was also the color of the sky was also somewhat dull. Its previously bright tint seemed to be fading. If you went to a park, you would be able to see the vibrant autumn leaves sprouting from the trees. Maybe they were sucking the color from the sky. As I looked up towards the sky, I jammed my toothbrush into my mouth. The nice thing about my base was that I had no eyes on me. I could do anything I wanted on the roof without fear of other people's scrutiny. It was also fairly spacious, giving it a nice open feel. My sink was located outside of my container, which allowed me to brush my teeth outside when the weather was nice. It was pretty convenient when it rained, though. Wird jetzt endlich aufgeklärt, wo er sich wäscht? As I rubbed my sleepy eyes, I moved my toothbrush around my mouth and thought back to what happened the day prior. Even after everything, Remy had stayed in my room until late at night. She had even held my hand until I finally calmed down, which had taken at least an hour. Also, I should clarify that nothing had actually happened between us before she had gone home. Two people of the opposite sex and in the same age no less had been left all alone in a cramped room for hours on end, yet they had never broached any particular lewd topics. If I had the skills to carry out conversations like that, I would have gained normie status a long time ago. Jesus Christ, why was I like this? The part of me that wanted this bullshit sexual gratification made me want to puke. Remy was genuinely trying to help me, and it was a friend, nothing more. She had already done a lot for me just by saying I will stay by your side. That alone had made me feel leagues better. Having just that pillar of support made a tremendous difference. Despite the gut-wrenching murder of Dr. Takashina in the numbskull case, I'd found myself feeling pretty stable after the night had passed. Come to think of it, what there was up with her acting so sexual before? It had felt way too real to be called a hallucination. No matter how much I tried to convince myself otherwise, I just couldn't get over how sexy it was. It wasn't like I had stared at them or anything, but I could definitely say that I had seen the folds of her inner pants. As a self-proclaimed panty expert, I read only for figures. I knew how realistic those folds had been. They had a level of detail you wouldn't see in a delusion. Boah, ey, Junge. Okay, you know what? Who cares about dumb shit like that? Just forget it. The power to project delusions onto reality. Did such a thing really exist? Was I being targeted by Shogun because I had the power to do so? If I did have that power. A childhood memory resurfaced. Yep, die Sache mit dem Unfall. Yeah, it was the day I hadn't been able to go on the field trip. The day where I'd been the only one not involved in a certain accident. The bus had crashed, and several of my classmates were injured. And Mr. Saito, my teacher, died. I remembered images of those things appearing vividly in my mind back then. I had seen them clear as day. Had it really been just foreknowledge? What if those images hadn't just been foreknowledge? What if they had been a delusion of mine? What if I had projected the delusion onto reality? My body threatened to start trembling, so I wrapped my arms around myself in an attempt to counter it. Yup, a murderer. Remy! Ohio. Remy was standing there. Despite how early in the morning it was, she was just as cheerful and energetic as ever. The moment I saw her smile, the trembling I'd been unable to fight suddenly ceased. That was odd. I used to get extremely uncomfortable whenever 3D girls were around me, but for some reason I felt at ease now that Remy was here. Oh. Deine bessere Hälfte ist da. You gotta catch a fly, finde ich geil. Oh, I understood now. According to the minimum attendance chart, I had to go to school today. Eden had probably told Remy that yesterday. Yeah, it had to be that. Because of Shogun, I'd been too afraid to go out on my own. And that was when Remy told me I would stay by your side. She was keeping that promise. Oh, der Blick von ihr schon wieder. Das irritiert mich halt echt ein bisschen, weil, wie gesagt, in der englischen Anime-Fassung ist es halt, wenn ich mich recht entsinne, Tin hat und nicht Bishi. Da. Oh, adorable. Remy winked mischievously at me. What eroge was this? I couldn't believe a girl from my class had come to pick me up. It was a scenario I would never expect it to ever happen in real life. If she wanted to make it genuinely top tier, she should have barged into my room and woken me up. That would have insta-killed me. Well, I cooked up idiotic delusions like that when we looked up at the sky. The distant look of hers again. Well, the sun's light is composed of 7 colors, the well-known colors of the rainbow. For those 7 colors to reach the human eye, the first have to pass through the Earth's atmosphere. When that happens, a phenomenon called scattering occurs. To put it simply, when light collides with the particles in the atmosphere, it gets refracted in several random directions. Since it gets refracted in random directions, it results in light traveling around a lot, and that's what makes it easily observable for people. The colors that scatter the most are purple and blue. That's why the sky is blue. I was so smart, I impressed even myself sometimes. However, while my answer was based in scientific fact, Remy's came from emotions and romanticism. I felt like Remy had already said something like that before, but when exactly? I quickly changed clothes, then left the Kurenai conference hall building with Remy. Going to school together for all intents and purpose, this was some normie shit. Shogun and you terrified me so much I honestly wanted them to die, and I really meant that. Fucking curse, both of you. And yet, thanks to them, I'd been able to test out normie them. Maybe I owed them more than I realized. I attempted to force myself to change how I felt about them, but Dr. Takashina's face resurfaced in my mind, and my good mood was instantly blown away. My doctor had been killed, and it could very well have been because of me. Shogun had killed a doctor, I knew well. All to set an example or provoke me. I was hit with a wave of pure anxiety and dread. I began to gradually fall behind Remy. Looking at her diagonally now, I glanced at the back of her head. What kind of expression could she be making? She was humming. She was humming the song from the Phantasm CD I had lent her the day prior. Her footsteps were light and bouncy. We weren't even talking, so why was she so happy? Seeing her like that, it helped alleviate my anxiety, if only a little bit. But it was probably time to be honest with myself. Why was Remy being so nice to me? Maybe the reason lay within the memories I had with her. Memories that were lost to me. When we arrived at school, I let Remy go off on her own and made a break for the restroom. That was one of my secret OP tactics. I felt bad since Remy had gone out of her way to pick me up, but coming to school with a girl would make me stand out. Especially if the Dukuans in my class noticed, who knew what terrible fate would be in store for me then. That was why I had taken a short break in the restroom. It would buy me enough time to make them think I had come alone. And yet my mission had ended in failure. Putting a nonchalant look on my face, I left the restroom and headed towards the classroom at the end of the hallway, keeping my head down all the way. As I made my way there, I spotted Ayase walking toward me. The moment our eyes met, Ayase's lips twisted into a thin smile. Ayase was a celebrity. I knew I would be better off not talking to her when we were at school, as it would only make me stand out. Unfortunately, Ayase wasn't on the same page as I was, which she showed by choosing a stop directly in front of me. I had no choice but to follow suit.
Takumi, あれから警察はどう?
I nearly screamed, but I managed to cover my mouth with my hand. Why would you bring that up in public? I looked around in panic. The situation was already really bad. Unsurprisingly, Ayase was the center of attention. It was rare for her to come to school at all, and she was Phantasm's vocalist, and she was a beautiful androgynous woman. That last thing was pretty much a universal opinion, meaning both guys and girls were immensely interested in Ayase. And they all knew there was no way she would be talking to an otaku freak like me under normal circumstances. The gazes surrounding me were painful. I wanted to run away. She always said the same thing every time we met. Ayase may have been on my side, but I was tired of her repeating the same bullshit over and over again, like a broken record. I want to get it just as much as you want me to. I just don't know how.
ヒントが欲しい。君はどうやってあれを手に入れた？
いつの間にかそこにあった。
And that was she ever going to stop dodging the goddamn question?
気づかなかったわ、最初は。でも、ちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。もしかしたら、匠にももう見えているのかも。見ていないだけで。
And she had lost me. Conversing with Ayase always wore me out. Spare me the Zen corns, please.
ケンはちゃんと探してるよ。僕だって絶対手に入れたいから。
Unable to bear the piercing gazes for even a second longer, I gave Ayase a short sight of expiration, then slipped past her into the classroom. And after all that, I became even more depressed. Some of the guys, Misumi-kun included, were staring at me in astonishment. Shit, they had seen me talking to Ayase. I was in deep shit now. Who knew what they were gonna say to me? I could deal with it if they just made fun of me a bit, but I was worried that they would go one step further and pick an actual fight with me just because I dared to talk to Ayase. I really didn't need a demo of high school gang activity. I dropped my gaze and made my way to my seat, trying to bring the least possible amount of attention to me. I beg you, leave me alone. Und verkackt. My prayers were left unanswered. I had to remain silent. I couldn't allow myself to look up. I beg of you, don't yell so loud. It's echoing throughout the entire classroom. Please just leave me alone. I have no intention of messing around with Ayase. Even if I wanted to, I'm not worthy of her anyway. So please stop making such a big deal out of this. Right then, Remy interrupted him.
落ち着け。タクが困ってるでしょ。
悪い悪い。
Misumi-kun lowered his voice and clapped me tightly on the back. With my head still hanging low, I let out a small sniff. Remy had come to save me yet again.
で、実際のところどうやったんだ？
I didn't know what I'd expected. This was the dude who only fought with the wrong head after all.
もう大臣ってほんと節操ないよね。そのうち彼女さんに刺されるんじゃない？
I end up cutting you. Jupp. Könnte ich mir tatsächlich vorstellen, bei ihm, dass er irgendwann umgebracht wird von irgendeiner.
各種ケアは欠かさねえから。
何それ？
なたく、教えろよ。岸本とはどんな感じなんだ？
Asking me once again, Misumi-kun started rubbing my shoulders. Where I was reluctant about it, I timidly looked up. About half the guys in the classroom were taking quick glances at me and whispering to each other. Shit, they were still watching me. Don't look at me. Chills went over the nape of my neck. If you were caught in the Dukuen's lines of sight, you were finished. They would never let you hear the end of it. All that awaited you was pure unending hell. What should I do? Run away? Should I just skip class and go home? I couldn't do that alone. The mere thought of running into either Shogun or Yua left my legs paralyzed. Should I ask Rumi to go back home with me? She had said before that she kept her promises, which meant she would stay by my side at all times. So if she really had been telling the truth before, sure she would skip class with me. Regardless, I needed to get out of the classroom as soon as possible. Suddenly, a really loud sound came from the entrance. Everyone immediately turned their gaze towards the trigger, trying to figure out what was going on. It was the transfer student. Rubbing her forehead with tears in her eyes, she bowed silently to everyone around her again and again. Ich sag mal so, die Tür nicht richtig getroffen, würde ich mal behaupten. Oh, aber sieht auch ein bisschen durch aus, wenn ich ehrlich bin. The entire classroom had fallen silent. What the hell?
今の見たか？
Did you see that?
見た。一人で勝手に扉に激突してたね。
やっぱ梢ちゃんは可愛いな。
Das ist eher bemitleidenswert als niedlich, aber okay. If the clumsy girl Architect actually existed in real life, she certainly fits the bill.
また泣いた。大丈夫かな？すごい音してたけど。
With her in her voice, Remy ran up to the transfer student before anyone else could. She just couldn't help herself from getting involved, but a meddler. But I guess she was just that kind.
リミに先越された。待て待て。梢ちゃんを解放するのは俺だ。
Also ich muss schon sagen, Taku wurde der Arsch gerettet. Von jemandem, der einfach gegen die Tür gerannt ist. Oh, das ist so ehrlich. Making his intentions clear, aka telling Remy to back off, Misumi ran over to the transfer student, albeit a bit late. The transfer student running into the door ended up being a blessing in disguise. The guys that had been staring at me up until then had now shifted their attention toward her. Good job, transfer student. I would have to thank her later. Ist auch gut. Dann kommt der Typ an, danke, dass du in die Tür gerannt bist. But right then, I happened to overhear what a group of girls near my desk was saying.
うざ。何あれ？狙ってやってんじゃん。
The whispers were faint, but I knew exactly what they said.
視界にはデッドスポットと呼ばれる通常は使用されることのない いくつかの神経チャンネルが存在することをご存知ですか？
それが第二世代と何か関係があるのかね？
そういうことになります。簡単な実験をしてみましょう。これをご覧ください。
子供騙しを聞いている暇はないぞ。
重要なことですよ。この図には左側にドット、右側にリングがあります。では左目を手で覆って見えないようにしてください。そのまま右目だけで図の左側にあるドットを見つめてください。
Wenn man das macht, sieht man nur noch den Punkt. Und wenn man mit dem rechten Auge wenn man mit dem linken Auge nach rechts schaut, sieht man nur noch den
いかがで
Kreis.
すか？ドットを見つめる目の端の方にリングも存在しますか？
いくらドットだけを見つめていても、隣にあるリングがついでに見えているのは当然だと思うがな。
Nein.
では先生、ドットだけを見つめたままモニターに顔を近づけていってみてください。隣のリング。
ほう、これは
興味深いね。
右側のリングが消えた。そうですね。これは視界が狭ま
Vielleicht
った
bin ich
からではあ
einfach
り
zu
ません。
weit weg, zu dicht dran, als dass ich den ersten Teil geschafft habe. Ich bin direkt zum zweiten übergegangen, offenbar.
その証拠にさらにモニターに近づくことでリングはまた視界に現れます。
これは一体どんなトリックだ？
いいえ、トリックの類ではありません。普段は使用されていないですが、人間が元から持っている目の機能の一つですよ。これはデッドスポットと呼ばれ、
Ja, stimmt.
ノアによって人間の視界の中に無から有を作り出す際に使用するチャネルなのです。
After class finished, I found myself standing still at the school entrance. Twilight was beginning to encroach upon the sky, and a few crows were flying across it, flipping their wings without so much as a caw. I was waiting for Remy. It was her turn to clean the classroom, so she was taking longer than usual. We hadn't promised to go home together today, but I was sure we would. So, waiting for that to happen, I had been standing there for over 15 minutes. I had no idea how the day would go this morning, but I had managed to make it through it with fairly little trouble. Misumi-kun was so desperate to talk with the transfer student that he had dropped the subject about me and Ayase entirely. I owed it all to the transfer student, really. Delusion time! Speak of the devil, there she was, passing right next to me. With a face that looked like she was about to cry, she bowed her head to me. Despite how uncomfortable I felt, I managed to nod back. I watched as she attempted to leave through the school gate, tripping over herself along the way. Once again, I thought about how small she was. She fit the lolly archetype to a T. And on top of that, she was a clumsy girl too. I didn't know her very well, but her perfect blend of personalities made me want to shout from the rooftops. She was loaded with moral traits. And yet she didn't even seem very popular with the other girls. What people valued in others really did differ between 2D and 3D, huh? My vision suddenly went pitch black. I felt something push against my eyes. What the hell? No fucking way. Could this be the legendary Who Is It game? The legend state it only exists within the world of 2D, and yet she had said the classic line, could it be, could it well and truly be? I never thought I would ever experience it in my lifetime. As of right now, I had basically won the game of life. No, hang on, calm down. There was no way I would encounter an urban legend in the third dimension, surely. Right, what was I thinking? I was in a delusion, I had to be. I mean, it was an urban legend, aka something that nobody could confirm the existence of. Phew, almost had me there. I'd managed to regain my composure. If this was a delusion, I wanted to get back to reality ASAP. That's why could just get it over with, kind of like jumping into a lake or something. That way it would hurt less. On the other hand, why don't I just indulge myself in this blissful fantasy for a little while? I'm sure you won't mind.
ヒントはね、名前にリがつく。
It starts with V. Yeah, it was pretty obvious, even without it. I could tell the moment she had opened her mouth. After all, I was trained in the art of working out the voice actor just by hearing an anime character talk. Okay, das ist nicht schlecht. That said, I wasn't a VA otaku or anything like that. This was just a natural stage of progression for anyone who watched
あれ？
anime.
わからない？第二ヒント。名前にみがつく。
You just gave away the answer. What a complete junkie. Then again, oh Remy, you're so cute, Remy. There was a simple reason as to why I couldn't answer. Well, I obviously knew the answer, saying the name out loud was pretty damn embarrassing. Well, since it was a delusion, I should just play along.
ピンポーン。
Her hands released my face. I opened my eyes. I turned around and to no surprise found Remy standing
私だ
there.
ってごめんね。
Wait, what? I wasn't waking up from the delusion? Usually it would just end here, and I would suddenly return to my senses. I tried pinching my cheek. No wait, that's how you tell if you are in a dream, but dreams and delusions aren't all that different, so it's not really wrong to use that method, but ouch, my cheek hurts, what the fuck. Wait, was that actually real? Upon realizing this, I instantly became embarrassed. My face shot straight to the ground.
どうしたの？顔赤いよ。
In spite of her words, Remy's cheeks were dyed a light scarlet. But maybe that was just because the sunset was shining down on her. Maybe.
さあ、帰ろう。
So my academy was in the high-end residential area of Shoto. Every house was huge, and the whole area just oozed with an air of success and affluency. Despite this being Shibuya and still daytime at that, there were hardly any people around. It gave me the area this forlorn, lonesome air.
タクって意外とモテるよね。
I had nearly died just then. What the hell was she talking about?
あれ？自覚ない？
With a check, Remy shot her index finger towards the tip of my nose. Don't point at people, it's rude,
だ
goddammit.
ってこの前はメガネかけた3年生の綺麗な人と一緒だったし。
Ah. Jua. Ich war gerade am überlegen, wen meint sie? Jua. Jua war für dir offenbar, ja. Ich hatte da offenbar irgendwie... Also irgendwie hatte ich da wohl welche durcheinander gebracht. Ich hatte aus irgendeinem Grund immer gedacht, Jua wäre in derselben Klassenstufe wie Taku und Ayase wäre eine Klassenstufe höher. Also dass die beiden in Sennas Klassenstufe sind. Ja, dass Ayase in Sennas Klassenstufe ist. Hatte ich irgendwie gedacht. Egal.
あれは。
うん、昨日聞いた。タクに意地悪する人だよね。
If you knew that, then why are you?
で、今日はあのフェスと話してた。あと折原さん、転校してきた朝に真っ先にタクに声をかけてたよね。さらに今こうして私と一緒に帰ってる。ほら、モテモテだ。
Actually, I had been thinking about that recently. Has my life as a normie begun? Are my popular times finally here? Stuff like that. Something that would have been absolutely unthinkable for me a month ago. Back then I had never had the chance to even talk to 3D gods, excluding Nanami. I always posted about not being into 3D gods, but that was just to make myself look cool and indifferent. Serene was definitely onto something. Why had my encounters with girls increased with such frequency lately? It all kicked off after the chat with Shogun. A scary thought suddenly crossed my mind. What if every single event in this past month had all been a delusion? What if I'd just been having a really, really long dream? Considering how insane everything was, I didn't think I would be all that surprised if everything went right back to normal tomorrow. Or maybe the person controlling me had swept out with someone else. Maybe the previous one was happy just watching me go through the motions, but the new one preferred to interact with other characters, or something like that. Either way, the past month didn't feel entirely real to me. Way too many things had happened.
っていうか、私今日初めて知ったんだけど、フェスって同じ学校だったんだね。
Aber ich würde sagen, an dem Punkt werde ich erstmal diese Folge hier beenden. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal.